Ross Fly Box. Today we're going to tie the beta spinner. It's September coming, and the beta spinner for me is pretty much Miss September. Very effective pattern around here. We'll cross over when the midges are landing. There's a lot of gray midges as well. But the beta spinner I find to be a little bit lighter in color than traditionally tied. Almost like a translucent gray at times, a very pale olive. So that's what prompted this version of the beta spinner. Let's go over how to tie it. I start out with a Orvis Tactical wide gape hook. I use the wide gape because, and I tie it with a size 16. I use the 16 because the wide gape hook has a size 18 shank, and it still has a good gape. I like the presentation it provides. It's been very effective for me the last couple seasons. So let's go over how we start. With the hook, then I use 6/0 or 8/0 Olive Done uni thread, and we're gonna start our thread. Bring it back just to where that wide gape hook starts to bend. A little bit different hook to tie with when you're first starting out with it, but you get used to the proportions. And then for the tail, I use medium Pardo Coq de Leon. I don't split these. A lot of people do. I've found it doesn't matter. To be quite honest, I've never noticed it to matter at all. So I tie in a little bit larger clump, almost like a nymph tail. Probably has 5 or 6 fibers in it. I let them splay how they will, and I tie them in about a shank and a quarter length, just a little bit longer than shank length. I wrap back to the end of where I stopped the thread, just as it starts to bend into the hook. Trim off my butt. Make sure I don't go too far into the bend. Yeah, that's about right. And then I bring my thread forward as the body. Just a slight short body of the Olive Done. It's going to take you about the 60% mark on the shank. Next material we're going to tie in, I take a coppery eyed peacock, and I take three of the close fibers right close to the eye, smaller fibers. And then they get fragile up in there, so I like to clip them off about midway point. I clip most of the tip off on these because they're pretty fragile, and you only need a short section. And we're going to tie those peacock curls in right behind the eye, the thorax section, and wind back to almost right about even with the point on this, but it's about the 50% mark of the shank. The next material we're going to tie in is Silver Badger. I use dry fly Silver Badger, and this is actually a size 14 hackle. I want the wing to be a little bit wider. Mayfly's got a bigger wing. That's what you're looking at. It's not the legs. You're looking at a splayed hackle of a dead insect. I clip the butts, and I tie it in on the side of the shank. Wind back a little bit, almost to the point, and I bring my thread forward. Then we're going to wind that hackle. Should be able to get 2 to 3, usually 3 good wraps, and then I'll clip off on the 4th on this fly. It's a small fly. Try not to crowd the eye too much. But I don't worry about fibers. I don't worry about how they're splaying on this fly. It's a very little fly. And it's a dead fly. So you're going to find them in every manner floating on the surface of the water. I got that quill just a little bit too far forward. Clear that away. Just avoiding trouble later. And then once you have your hackle tied in, I pull the peacock herl forward. You don't need to worry about what it's doing to the top of the hackle. This hackle is irrelevant up here on this fly. The top hackle, don't worry about it. Don't try and make it pretty. You can if you want, you're wasting your time. You're just going to pull those three forward. Hold them tight. Tie down behind the eye. I give 2 wraps. And then I pull them back to clear the eye. I give 2 or 3 wraps in the front. And you're going to trim those herls off. And wrap your head. Like I said, you will trap some fibers on this fly. It's a small fly and it's a busy fly. Three wrap whip finish. And you're going to trim your thread off. Clip any flyers that you have around your head. I almost always have some on this fly. And then you're going to clip the belly. You're going to clip the hackle off. Make sure you haven't matted any down with your fingers any certain way. And you're going to come underneath and clip those bottom hackles off. Hackle fibers flush. All you want is the spinner. And we still got that one up here by the head. I don't use any head cement on this fly. By the time these things get matted down or beat up enough, they're usually tore up pretty good. And there it is. The beta spinner. For me, it is Miss September. It is my most effective blue-winged olive or blue-winged olive spinner that I have found for late season. Hope it adds to your box as it has mine. Good luck. See you on the water.